Welcome, everybody, to the X Factor podcast. Today, we have another great one coming your way as we're going to be reviewing NXT from last night. It is currently Wednesday. You'll see this Thursday. Um, I feel like, to start off with, I feel like NXT had a very good episode. Um, they kept mentioning how this is a new era, and Monday Night Raw, it felt like a new era, but NXT, they made it feel like it was they made it feel more of a new era because everything that happened on Tuesday was just they're on fire from start to finish. Everything was just on fire, and we're gonna get right into it here from start to finish. Remember to follow the TikTok and the Twitter, X Factor Sports or Olus, either way, still same there. And remind you that the gaming channel will be coming out very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for AEW review and them bringing out the CM Punk footage and all that shenanigans. And I will get to all that in a little bit. In another video, but it'll be same day, all that stuff. So let's get right into it. To start off the show, the camera angle to start off the show, it's like they're going in like in the backstage area, and then like they went through. They didn't went through the gorillas position, but they went through like how they get to the ring and everything, and it was all very, very cool to start with. I like the new camera angles that they're bringing in. Production has been a lot better since Kevin Dunn has retired, and you can feel that, since Kevin Dunn has left, it's been much more of a, you could tell that they would have been better off without him for years and years and years, and proves that he was one of the few people that were also holding WWE back. Also, when it comes to production wise, I feel like everyone that's been holding WWE back is now out of there. I feel like the only one that's actually still there from the Vince days is Bruce Pritchard. I don't think he's leaving anytime soon. But we're going to get right into it here. Start off the show with Roxanne Perez, who had a good win over Indy Hartwell on Monday Night Raw this past Monday. She comes out, and the one thing I know is that I know she's a heel, but it's just, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this or said this on the internet. I'm slowly starting to believe it. It's just I can't take her seriously as a heel. There's just like, for seeing her for how she was for so long, and I thought her being a heel would cook, and it just hasn't been hitting for me. I don't know if it's just she needs the right babyface to be with it. And Lyra Valkyria is a good babyface, don't get me wrong, but when you have her coming out, even with her injured arm, and the fans are still referring to Roxanne over her, it's proves that need to do something. And same thing with Bobby Lashley. You can't turn Bobby Lashley into Street Profits heel. They tried to do that, boom, and it failed for them. They had to turn him back. And I don't think they'll have to turn Roxanne over. Maybe if she goes to the main roster, maybe, because everyone loves her and knows her on the main roster. Because a lot of those people don't watch NXT regularly, and in which we can know that by how the crowd reactions are sometimes with some of those NXT people. But I feel like it could be just I don't know. It's just the way it feels like she's just trying a little too hard to get in there as a heel. But you can still tell that she gets the crowd. The one thing she does have going for her is when the crowd's going for her, she'll get them to turn back around and be like, oh, well, wait, we don't like this person, type stuff. So that's the one way to keep going. If she can keep going with that, I feel like she would have a great feature as a heel. And one of the things I thought about the other night is, since Cora Jade's been out with her ACL, if she came back, I wouldn't mind her being a babyface in that feud, because Roxanne was already a babyface in the last feud they had against each other. I wouldn't be too upset if she became a babyface for if they have a next one, which if they do, that'd be generational. Lyra Valkyria came out talking about how she wants her NXT rematch. She ended up not getting it because she literally had a sling in her arm. And then Tatum Paxley, who has stalked her pretty much through months, and she also got yelled at the end of Stand Deliver, and she, was trying to help Lyra Valkyria, and then she ends up turning on her, which was a very... I probably would have thought Lyra would have done it at some point, but she ends up doing it. Pretty much telling her that it's not her time anymore, And I love how they're getting her more and more on TV because of the way she portrays as her character. It's just, she does it so well that it could be, like, literally anything. Like, you could throw the stupidest segment at her and she'd somehow make it look good. Like, she is getting better and better and better as she keeps going with her character. And I want to see it more as we get on, through with her NXT days. And eventually she'll make it on the main roster, which when that day comes, there's going to be a lot of hell to break loose through her. But then Ava Raine comes out, mentions that she does get a title match. Nope, I have to go ahead of that. So Lyra, they took her out. Roxanne pretty much says that she doesn't have a title match. Natalya comes out, challenges her, and, well, Roxanne keeps turning it down, and Ava Raine comes out and announces the match, which she gets her own theme song. So we know now that she has her own theme music, and and I'm slowly starting to like Ava Raine more as her being a general manager. She fits those shoes so well. And even with, like, some of the odd characters that we see, like a Joe Gacy or some of the heels like Ariana Grace and all that, she makes the interactions with them they're just so well. They're so entertaining, so much fun to watch. And I'm expecting to see more of that in the future, which is something I'm hyped about and would like to see more of. But so that was the start of the first segment of NXT. The first match was Kiana James, Izzy Dame versus Fallon Henley, Kalani Jordan. That match, it was all right. It was an alright match. Fallon Henley is one of the few women who, if you need a battle, she's gonna be there for you. Kalani Jordan is slowly becoming one of the best upcoming superstars, wrestlers, whatever you want to call them, on the roster. She definitely has something in her when it comes to wrestling talent. I feel like promos she could get going up there, but eventually, getting more training time with that, you'll get there at some point. And then Kiana James, she just has it. I don't know what else to say. She should be at least a 2-time women's champion right now, or hopefully she'll be one of the first NXT North America champions. She has the promo skills. She's good in the ring. I don't know what they're not putting into her. Like, she already has a tag title reign in her resume, but I feel she needs more than that. Like, she has something that can lead on to this next generation of the women wrestlers that are coming through. She could be a big part. She could be the next big heel to come through, and I'm not saying, like, be a heel like Charlotte Flair, but, like, it can, with the right structure and booking, she could definitely have the potential to have that. And then, of course, having Izzy Dame with her, that also helps, with her heel her being a heel much more. Because now that you have two people with each other that, you don't like, and one of them's already really good at it, and, you have Izzy Dame with her, it fits everything to what, a good heel should have. If you're a really good heel, if you're like an example, Shawn Michaels, when he was a heel, he had Diesel on his side. If Ricky Starks has Big Bill. Like, if you're a smaller heel, then you need a taller version that would help you do some of the dirty work, and that's how I think we've seen it with a lot of wrestling. And I feel like that's just one of the best ways to make it work, is have a taller, stronger heel with you to help do some of the dirty work with you, make it more dominant. And and then they had a video package of Chase University. Um, Andre Chase, one of the things that one of the storylines we've seen for months is how did Andre Chase and Chase University go bankrupt for a little bit? Well, not really bankrupt, but they're losing money. They were about to lose the university, and then JC Jane helps them. And JC Jane, and this is like a long time ago. There was a episode where the D'Angelo family handed her an envelope, or handed Andre Chase an envelope, but JC Jane read it, and apparently when Thea Hale had her championship match against Tiffany Stratton, he put a bet on her. And it's weird that he put a bet on her to win, but yet still threw in the towel for her to lose. So he pretty much screwed himself in that situation. And Andre Chase, he admits it that he did it and tried to make some excuse, and it didn't work. Thea Hale ran out. And like I said with Kiana James is with being a heel, JC Jane is one of the best heels on the women's roster. Like, no one could tell me otherwise. She has been a big factor of when it comes to the women's division and the heel side of the place. I feel like we have a lot of baby faces, a lot of new green baby faces, but I feel like the heels overshadow it, and I feel like they need to be talked more because of how good they're doing. And I feel like some of those new green upcomers need to take some notes off them and all of that, because let's be real, a lot of the new baby faces and a lot of the new women's wrestlers or new male wrestlers that are coming in, if they're a baby face, it's just their promos are not that well. Even though they are new, you still got to give them, some things to update, some things to work on. And that's just one of the few things that they could help with, and plus that's one of the best things about NXT is you have so much legends there to help and do all that from. And plus you have people like John Cena or Cody Rhodes or all them people that show up on occasion and they can get help, And that's just the beauty of the Performance Center, even though people like to crap all over it. But Performance Center helps a lot more than what people think. It's not just there to help train new wrestlers. It's there to help the psychology of what their fans want and think, and also how to tell a story. And like I said during the Monday Night Raw review, they're slowly getting out of that just storytelling phase. They're starting to get more of the wrestling in there too, and it's all coming together. And you can notice that a lot of the fans are not used to it, because some fans, they could see Ricochet do a backflip or they see a Canadian Destroyer and they go, ooh. If you need to see something like that, you need to freak out. Like, if I see a Canadian Destroyer on WWE television, I'm freaking out because it doesn't happen often. But that's just me. Scripps faced a new... Don't mind the beep in the back. It's just my dryer going off. Scripps with OTM faces a newly recruit of Javon Evans. He's been seen on NXT Level Up. If you don't watch NXT Level Up, then I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. And Javon Evans, he definitely has it with him. He's so talented in the ring, and he's only 19 years old. He is a 19-year-old man that has a potential to him that I haven't seen. Like, when you look at Braun Breaker and Carmelo Hayes, and they have the potential. Javon Evans, on the other hand, it could just be me, but he has the potential to have everything that they have, but maybe a little bit better. He is so good in the ring. Promos, on the other hand, I don't know much about promos. I haven't seen any of his promos. I know that they had that hype video. My favorite part was when he goes, "That boy's bouncy." So that was a little... that was my favorite part of the whole video. But him and Scripps, I think Scripps was the right opponent for him for his first actual NXT match, because they had a very good fucking match, because they came out and they had a barn burner. His Javon Evans' version of the Cody Cutter was fucking smooth. His finisher, it's he jumps off the top rope and does like he did like a 360 spin around type flip and splash, and it's like a splash. It was fucking insane. And I'm hoping to see more of him up in the next couple of weeks. I wish the breakout tournament was literally next week, because he would be the favorite to win it, you know. And then of course there's Scripps, he's an underrated talent, but he's also a talent that can help put other people over when it comes to having good matches. So that's some beauty of it. And you could tell when I was just saying that they're slowly getting the storytelling out a little bit and making it more about the wrestling. You could tell with how NXT has been putting on the people. Like Javon Evans, he comes in, he doesn't even have a storyline match. It just comes in, boom, his first match, and people know who he is, and he already has the good crowd reactions, everything, and boom, he just comes out and has a banger of a match, and the crowd loves it. And that's just one of the best ways to have a debut match. And NXT crowds are the best, but then again, they're annoying. Like, they're annoying at times for certain chants or for certain people, but when they need to get to the match, they cook. They cook when it comes to reactions. I wish we had NXT crowds for AEW. I wish I had NXT crowds for every show, because it would just make the show fucking look like the best show of all time, you know. So that is just, you know, one of the things. Roxanne Perez faces Natalya. In my opinion, that was my second favorite match of the night, because I came into and looked at that match, like when they put it on screen, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be an alright match. And I believe they had like 15 minutes. It was like nearly 15 minutes, and the match was fucking amazing. These two came out and they were just brawling. Like, fortunately, they had, you know, the little technical wrestling, and Natalya, you know, for the longest time, she was looked like she was getting slower and slower and slower in the ring, but she came out and she was looking quick. Like, she was on spot with everything. And even with her doing the clotheslines, which she does a couple of them in that matchup, you know, Roxanne makes it look very good. And Natalya, she's moving well in the ring with Roxanne, and they had a barn burner, they had a brawl. It was amazing. And even when I think it was the last sharpshooter Natalya hit on her before Lola Vice came out and interrupted her, the move that they got to it, the reverses that they got into that was beautiful. Like, that was, like, I popped. That's what professional wrestling's all about. Stuff like that. It's just the little things, how you reverse into this, or how you reverse into that, and how you counter into this, and what move you do to counter into that. To me, that's just what helps make the wrestling matches look a lot better. Is how, you know, if you revert, like, example with JD McDonough trying to do his finisher, Ricochet reverses into an 8 short. Those little things like that will pop me, because it's just how hard it is to reverse that and then going into your finisher like that. It's crazy. But they had a very good match. And then Lola Vice came out and cost her the match. And I'm also looking forward to seeing that rivalry, because knowing how Natalya did with Roxanne, her and Lola might just cook even better. And then the family faced the No Quarter Catch Crew. One of the things I found interesting, because with the backstage, they were talking about Bloodsport, which is a GCW event. Charlie Dempsey was there this past weekend. I'm liking how, you know, when they are being with doing interactions with different companies, they acknowledged them. And I'm hoping to see more of those with, hopefully, Japan. We know they're already doing it with TNA. I want to see with Mexico. I want to see what kind of craziness we'd see out of that. But one of the scariest things is William Regal is their is WWE's scout, is like scouting for talent, and we know William Regal has a good eye for talent. He is one of the most underrated wrestlers from the 2000s and 1990s. And that the fact that he is scouting for talent for WWE, and he's been able to get Julia already, man, it's gonna be an interesting couple, because it's obvious that WWE's gonna be active when it comes to free agents now, knowing that Vince is not around anymore. They're gonna get active, and how they're gonna get active with it, it's gonna be crazy, because when you got William Regal there, it's hard for them to say no. But one of the things is, when you're trying to offer them a contract, or you're trying to do this, you can't just say, "Oh, we're WWE and WrestleMania." You can't just throw those are the only options. Like, what do you have to offer, WWE? Well, we have WrestleMania and we're WWE. Like, that's not only it. You have to you got to put more in perspective. Because if I was a wrestler and I was going in, I would say, well, what's my future like here? What do you have in store for me that just doesn't include WrestleMania? It's the small things that count. And that could have been one of the reasons why Okada and Will Ospreay, he didn't know how the American crowds were going to be. And Okada, he wanted to work with the EVPs. It's just those small things, you can't just throw out over WWE and WrestleMania and expect them to be like, "Oh, yep, I want to be there." Because that's not how it is anymore. We have AEW on the other side that will give them their money and also make them be into stars, as how Okada is already a champion, and Will Ospreay is about to have one of the best matches of all time against Bryan Danielson. But back onto WWE stuff. No Quarter Catch Crew and the family had a match. One of the things noticed is Drew Gulak is not on the Titantron for the Quarter Catch Crew. I know last week it was announced that Ronda Rousey said that Drew Gulak sexually assaulted her, or grabbed her strings to her sweatpants when trying to grab in her, or trying to shake her hand or something. So that is something. So Drew Gulak is no longer on the Titantron for No Quarter Catch Crew. I don't know what's going to happen. They could just be taking him away to see if there's a trial that happens, or if they're going to release him. Who knows? And I've seen a lot of people talk about it and saying Drew Gulak to get out of there. And if he did do it, and assuming that he did, shame on him. I guess, shame on him that, that's just nasty stuff you shouldn't be doing. And plus, that was all, that's just stuff that should not be even put up. All I'm going to say, it's just not right to do, And then I seen people saying, well, Ronda Rousey might be lying, and people countering, well, why would she lie? And it's like, I don't think she would just lie, but knowing how this world is, and people will lie over anything nowadays. That's the one thing a lot of people need to get understood, is people will lie over anything. But knowing that it happened to WWE, knowing how Ronda Rousey has despised WWE and how she's talked about him since she left, I don't think she's lying. And there's and until there's proof that she is, shame on Drew Gulak, I guess. I said the same thing about Jericho. Shame on them. Stuff like that should not be happening backstage or at all in that matter. It doesn't help anyone by doing any of that. So, but Damon Kemp and Osborne, or one of them, they had the match. Very good. Not very good. It was an alright match. I don't know how to feel about Luca Cusafino being part of the family. It just feels weird knowing that there's another guy there now, and that Tony D is going to be the number one guy, not in the tag team anymore. It's going to be very interesting. So, next thing that happened, Jada Parker faced Brindley Reese. Brindley Reese is a newer wrestler that's been coming up, and they had an alright match. It was nothing very special. Jada Parker, she has something. I will say that she definitely has something to her, and you could tell that she has that charisma and all that. I just feel like in-ring ability could do some work, but very open to see what she has in store for the next couple of months, especially with OTM. Obafemi is had a little segment coming out talking about what's next, and him winning that Stand and Deliver. The biggest shock of that was Ivar came out. And if people don't, everyone knows who Ivar is. Obviously, he's part of the Viking Raiders, and he came out, and I was very excited because Ivar is slowly, since he's been in singles, has been one of my favorite on the roster. He's cooked. He has been so good. And I was saying a couple days ago that was, at some point thinking that at some point we should have Ivar for Obafemi, and the fact that we're getting it at some point, gonna be favored. And I think the most impressive thing in the whole thing is Ivar did a flip in jeans. That is scary, because your jeans could rip and all the worst could happen with something like that, And to me, it's just they need to at least have 15 minutes. 15-minute banger, or I don't like it. That's the way I'm putting it. They need to have a 15-minute banger, because that match could literally be one of my favorite matches of the year. So far, match of the year for me is Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, but they could cook. And the main event match was the Wolf Dogs versus Nathan Frazier and Axiom. They had a match at Stand and Deliver. They lost. They got the rematch, and Nathan Frazier and Axiom announced before they would be stopped teaming together if they lost the match. Corbin and Breakker, they were pumping themselves up before the match. And Nathan Frazier and Axiom have been one of my favorite tag teams at NXT. They're they're some of the best high flyers are in NXT. And if you want to talk about high flyers, they're up there. They are so good. And they came out and they had a very good match. And then Frazier, he nearly won, but off a 450 splash. Corbin caught him into his sleeper, and then Corbin and Breakker almost got into it. Axiom, they kicked Ron Breakker out of the ring. Then they come in, and then boom, they get the 1-2-3 and win. And the fact, and they have the tag titles, celebrating, and next thing you know, AOP comes out, and I'm intrigued to see AOP in NXT, because Karrion Kross on the main roster has not been it. It's just been a very big disappointment, and it's not even his fault either, in my opinion. But I am intrigued to see what AOP can do over there, and I'm hoping that they get drafted over in NXT, just so we can see Karrion Kross do some things over in NXT, build himself back up. And if there's one man that can make Karrion Kross back into a star, Shawn Michaels. He brought back your Baron Corbin. I think that can do a lot of sense for you. Baron Corbin, we all thought at one point he was going to get released. At least I thought he was going to get released at some point. And he comes out and he's already tag champ, So if there's anyone that can make Karrion Kross back into a star, it's definitely Shawn Michaels. So And then, at the end of the show, Trick Williams comes out, talks about what's next for him, finishing his story, quote unquote story. Um, he challenges Ilya Dragunov to a match. Ilya Dragunov said no, and he asked him what he needed to do to get that match. And then Ilya Dragunov said, "Yes, I'll give you a match unless you retire, or unless if you lose, you have to leave NXT." Which is intriguing because Trick Williams' response was what got me. He sat there and says, "If I can't beat you, I don't deserve to be here." Which, if we all know Shawn Michaels, when Undertaker told him, "If I beat you at WrestleMania, you have to retire," and Shawn Michaels said, "If I can't beat you, I have no career." Cinema. Chills. That is what, that was the first thing that came up to my mind when Trick Williams said that. And the best thing about it is Shawn Michaels is making his own history that's happened in his career, and he's slowly putting them in storylines. Like JC Jane and Gigi Dolan, we've seen it with them too. And then now we're seeing it with Ilya Dragunov and Trick Williams. There could be a couple of them that I'm not remembering at this moment, but if you remember or know, put in the comments below, and then we'll know by then. But those are two that pop off my head quick. And then Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, when they had the rivalry and knowing who attacked Trick and all that, and knowing them two being like a Shawn Michaels Triple H type rivalry. And so those are just a few things to knowing that since Shawn Michaels has been taking care of creative over there in NXT, he's put a lot of his history in wrestling into storylines with these other people, and it just works. It just sticks there, and it's good, and it's fresh, and all that. And all I gotta say is I'm ready for it. And then it looked like they're about to leave, and then Carmelo Hayes takes out Trick Williams. Ilya Dragunov doesn't see that Trick got pushed into him because his eyes were like this, like all like crazy. So next week, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams have a steel cage, which is gonna be an absolute banger. Hopefully, it's better than their stand and deliver match. I thought their stand and deliver match was really good, but I feel like it was just too short. And then based off how Ilya Dragunov acted at the end of NXT, we could probably see Ilya Dragunov get involved at some point, because Trick got into him, but Ilya doesn't know that Carmelo Hayes took him out, is the way to put it. And it's just those little things like that you have to spot out to get, for the people to notice, But that is all for NXT. Let me know your comments down below, what your thoughts are. Hell, anything wrestling, football related will be in the comments below. So stay tuned for AEW review. Stay tuned for the NFL mock draft. And see y'all later. Peace.